never knew who stabbed him. So we took him to, he went to the hospital, all the detectives showed up, and the head of the detective unit, but right before the kid was going into surgery, the doctor said he wasn't, it looked like he might die, but he wasn't going to die.
Yeah.
And the head of the detective unit said, hey, he knew him too. What happened? It was all, he kind of knew him. With all due respect, Captain, no one stabbed me. I stabbed myself. And that was it. They walked out of there, never solved the case. Never solved the case. He didn't want to be a victim. Don't have to be a victim.
I had a friend, got stabbed, same circumstances. I wonder if it was the same, probably not the same kid because of but the same town.
Oh, the mad stabber? Oh, tell the story.
The mad stabber.
No, I know this. He got stabbed by somebody. Everybody knew who he got stabbed by, but he wouldn't tell the police. He just said,
how long ago was this?
Man, I don't know. I'm old. It was.
I don't think you and this kid ran the same circles. There's no way you knew this kid.
I know a lot of kids in a lot of circles.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe not. And it probably was before your time because I'm about 10 years ahead of you. So
yeah, this was the summer of '96.
No, this
summer of '96.
This was during my misspent youth. Okay. So this would have been probably this probably would have been early '80s.
Okay, yeah,
maybe mid '80s. But it was a while. But the same thing. He got stabbed. He knew who the guy was. He was going to handle it on his own, so he just said, "No idea."
Yeah. Also in this story, they kind of alluded to the fact that cops cover for each other.
Yes, it's shocking.
I've never heard that before.
Who would think that police would cover for each other?
It's unheard of.
Never heard of that.
Do accountants cover for each other, Juan? If you screw up someone's tax return?
Well, I don't know. It depends what side you're on, right?
It doesn't cost you any money.
It depends. Yeah, it just really does. You know, if I was hired, by a client to review some documents and, there's another party trying to get over on the other, I got to call them out.
Yeah.
Right? But, if I have a small firm, if it's one of my associates, there might be some covering there, know. But I think it exists in every profession. Doctors, police officers, firemen, whatever the case is. I think it's something, natural.
I think in journalism, people all the time criticize, and I used to write for a couple of papers, and my instinct is always to defend the journalist. I mean, I know we make mistakes. I know the papers send new reporters into certain beats, and they're going to screw up.
What if you knew a comedian was using jokes from 1950 from Jackie Mason? I don't even know a comedian back in the 50s.
Well, I think it happens all the time. Yeah. It happens all the time, and sometimes you let it go, and sometimes you don't. I know somebody said this once. I had a joke stolen by a known joke thief. That's what we call them, joke thieves. all the macho world of the comedian, bombing, killing, and joke thieves. But yeah, there's Carlos Mencia was National. Dane Cook called out for it.
Huge for it.
Oh, Dane Cook, really?
Oh, Mencia was. But was he a thief or was he a hack? And it's almost like to be a hack means that you're taking stuff that everybody uses, and to be a thief means you're taking a really good bit and basically stealing it, using it as your own.
You said really good bits, so that means no one ever stole your stuff, right, Dave?
Somebody did, and I was mad about it. And I told one of my friends, and he says, "What was the bit?" And I told him the bit, and he goes, "I wouldn't worry about that one."
Going nowhere.
Yeah. He'll give it back.
That's kind of it's kind of funny because I guess cops will kind of sometimes it all depends on the scenario, cover for each other. But this was like I was just right on the department also, and I wasn't even sure how to handle this one. But I was working inside years ago. We had a young lady, not young, but she was of age, and probably in her 30s or something like that. And she came in, she was crying, she was all distraught. It was me, another guy, and then the guy in charge was hiding in his office because I guess he knew this lady was coming in. He goes, "Hey, if she comes in and asks for me, tell her I'm not here." I go, "Why do you want me to tell her that?" "Just tell her I'm not here." All right. She just crying. She was a mess. I go, "He's not here." Said it about 10 times. "I know he's here. I know he's here." Then she blurted out, "You better tell him I'm here because I'm pregnant with his kid."
He come running out the door?
Well, the punchline is that he was married, and this was just some girl that he met on the side. So, yeah, we covered for him a little bit, but it only lasted about 20 minutes, and she kind of knew that he was there.
And so she just waited you out?
Just waited us out.
It was like a hostage situation.
Yeah, just wait out the hostage, yeah.
Maybe that's what the guy in Broward County figured he was doing.
Was she really pregnant?
That's horrible.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
I mean,
he
she wasn't
wasn't
like
waiting
obviously
anything.
pregnant,
Yeah.
but no, she was.
Oh, yeah, then, yeah. He wasn't going to wait 9 months, hide in his office. That doesn't work like that.
It's kind of
would know, right?
obvious.
Yeah, you know.
It's kind of obvious.
You got to sometimes.
Outside of the building, you see Jerry Springer and Maury out there. You are the father, you know.
Back when you were saying about, like, you know, how you go on a call and you see someone, hey, who did this? Oh, you know, I don't know. Isn't that the majority of them? I've been in a lot of situations where there have been stabbings. I've been at a shooting.
Oh, even victims will cover for witnesses.
One girl was shot twice. I think shot twice. Her boyfriend was shot too. The shooter shot her in the bedroom and in the living room. Shot around the house. We had to go because he hit a radiator and water was spewing out everywhere. Not to mention it was a medical call. But I don't know who he was. His name's in my phone. He's my ex-boyfriend's friend.
Yeah.
So your ex-boyfriend's friend that you don't know came to your house when he knew you were home, came into your house and hung out in your house before you realized who he was. Yeah. And then when you figured out, he decided to throw 4 shots at you, hit the boyfriend, hit you, hit the house, and then leave. And then you forgot who he was after he walked out the door.
With non-criminal types, just an average person who was victimized by a crime, whether someone breaks into their house or they know it or a domestic situation, non-criminals will usually be cooperative. Maybe not 100% cooperative, but they'll be cooperative because it's really not in their nature to lie and to be evasive. That's kind of not who they are. But criminal types, people who've been involved in the criminal justice system, whether they've been victims of crime or they've been perpetrators of crime or everything in between, yeah, they're usually pretty evasive. And to get them to give information, especially in a serious situation with a weapon involved and someone could possibly die, yeah, people can be pretty stone cold, sociopathic, and not give any information.
Well, wait a minute. Let me just say this. Let's say this. Let's say we're here and Juan stabs me.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Not to. Yeah.
I would say
Likely story.
Highly probable.
Likely story.
I would say Ray, but I don't want to suggest it to him because anyway. So let's say that Juan stabs me. And I'm living because you're here. The cops have responded.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And so now I'm going to say, I'm going to have to think, well, do I want to go after Juan or do I want to just, am I more afraid of him coming after me if I file charges than if
Juan or Juan's associates?
Yeah. I had a friend who, he got robbed. He was a convenience store owner and he got robbed. And he was testifying, or he was going to testify against the guy who robbed him. And he was closing up shop. He was about to get into his car, and a guy walked up and boom, right in the face, point blank range, shot him in the face. He lived. He lived and he testified.
Oh, really?
Wow. Yeah.
If we would have forgot.
Huh?
You would have forgot to testify after the shot.
Well, a lot of people. A lot of people. It's like the threat. If I figure I'm going to, if I keep quiet, he's not going to come back. Then I might.
You see that in big communities, like in Chicago.
Yeah.
I can guarantee you that if there's 500 homicides, there's more, but if there's 500 homicides in a year, and out of those 500, there's 300 witnesses, I bet you 300 people never go to trial because they're more afraid because they'll be killed next week.
Yeah.
If they testified in a city like that, absolutely they will.
Well, you guys got to think about this, right? You know, usually the being quiet part, it's gang related and so forth. But when the general public starts coming out with, acronyms or sayings such as "stop snitching," if you remember in the early 2005 or so in Massachusetts, Boston area specifically, there was a lot of shootings and, a lot of court trials. The police would catch the bad guys, the gangbangers, whatever the case is. And it got to the point where, you had young teenagers or people related to the gangbangers that they would actually wear T-shirts that would say "Stop Snitching," and the logo was like a stop sign. But in between the no, I'm not saying it was me. I'm not saying it was me. Right? This is all recollection from my past. I'm watching a lot of news. But in the stop sign, it would say "Stop snitching," and that was a sign, you know. And obviously the media is involved. They would catch these guys going into court with these T-shirts, to the point where the judges started banning, you know, any type of person going into the court to hear the hearing. They would not be allowed, and they actually banned them because it was high sales also with these shirts. Yeah, and that was the thing.
In those neighborhoods, that type of a culture, that subculture, the violent subculture in inner city neighborhoods, absolutely, you very rarely get cooperation.
Yeah,
very rarely.
It's and it's not, you know, it's not wholly different in the suburbs.
No, it is, because obviously you will have criminal elements in the suburbs also, just a smaller degree, but you're still going to have criminal elements in suburbs.
Right, percentage-wise. I think on that happy note, I think we're going to wrap up this episode, and we'll have you guys here for another episode. So tune in a couple days, and you'll get to hear Juan and Ray and a little bit more. I like having you guys here. It's
thank you.
Nice.
Yeah,
so fun.
I want to thank their probation officers for letting them come out for the day.
So listen, are you gonna check our pockets on the way out? Make sure we didn't take anything.
It's always nice to have a firefighter nearby, because as we've talked about before, everybody loves firefighters. Yeah. Everybody loves newspaper reporters, cops. Yeah, they only like you when they think you can do them some good. But everybody loves firefighters. Accountants, I'm not sure about. Anyway, we'll
tax season they do. Tax season they do.
Tax season. Sometimes you look at your accountant and say, "I can't believe what he did to me, or what he didn't do." Anyway, we're gonna be back in a couple days. So tune into the next episode of Inside the Thin Blue Line with Juan and Ray and Dale Lawrence. This has been Dave Rattigan, and we'll see you next time.